Can you ride with y'all?
What it look like tomorrow? I think my nephew's coming over, so it ain't gonna be room.
No room. All right. Well, I'll probably bring them after I get off work then.
That'll work.
I just be forgetting to yo, bro. I just be forgetting to get all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna buy food and like leave it over here. You know what I'm saying? So like you come over here on the weekend.
Why don't you just why don't you just bring it over here, bro? You know what I'm
Because
saying?
bro, like I don't be having time.
I
Like it's
know,
like
but
I
if you
could
leave
just
it over here, ain't it gonna go bad?
not necessarily. You know what I'm saying? Like if I buy yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so if I buy like if I go to the grocery store while I'm at the grocery store and grab it, it's like, you know what? Let me just because I'm probably not going to the grocery store again for the rest of the week.
It sounds like you should just bring it because you come over here every week. But you know what I'm saying? Whatever you say.
It'd be like chips, you know what I'm saying? Regular stuff that won't go bad.
Sabbath peace.
Sabbath peace. Have a little stash.
It's another opportunity for us to come together and hear and learn of the word of truth that's given to us by the Most High God. All honor goes to the Father through the Son, whose name is Yahushua. In him lies the only hope for salvation. Now you made me forget what comes next. In him lies the only hope for salvation.
It is obtained
By grace.
by grace through faith.
Through faith.
Lest anyone should boast.
Not of works, lest anyone should boast, and given freely as a gift to all who obey him. We understand that if you do not obey him, it is made manifest or made obvious that you do not believe. In this state, you should expect no good thing from the Most High. However, anything that you do get, whether it be a gift of tongues, a gift of prophecy, or any supernatural experience that you may have, it can and it will be used against you in the day of judgment. With that said, peace to the saints that are in the room, to the saints that couldn't make it, but no peace to the wicked. The only thing we say to them is repent that they might live. Yeah, live. All right. What we talked about last week? Children. What did we talk about last week? That's cheating because we talk about that every week. But you're right, technically. No, I remember we talked about Paul, right? Remember Paul? He went. He was going back to Jerusalem, right? And what did the prophets tell Paul when he was going back to Jerusalem? What they keep telling him? Didn't they tell him that he was gonna go back to Jerusalem, gaffled up, wrapped up in chains? Right? Then he ended up going, and what happened to him? He went there. He talked to James. Remember, James was like, "Yeah, relax, why don't you? You know what I'm saying? Show these boys you keeping the law." Then he went to the temple. Some other people saw him in the temple. Then they gaffled him up, wrapped him up, just like the book said he was gonna do. Right? Then the Gentiles came to try to split everything up, and they were trying to figure out. They put him on trial, trying to figure out what's gonna happen. So they sent them around to a few different people. They ended up sending them to the governor. His name was, I think it was Felix. Right? And they sent him to the Governor Felix to hear his case so they could figure out what they're going to do. Because remember, Paul, he was talking to the Hebrews in Hebrew, but then he came around, he was looking like, you know what I'm saying, no, I'm a Roman citizen. So they're kind of nervous, like, oh, no, we can't just condemn a Roman citizen to death. We gotta, you know what I'm saying, he got rights. So then Paul, he tried to talk to him. Remember, they was plotting on him to kill him and all types of stuff happening. So we left off, I think, in the 23rd chapter of Acts. And now we're about to pick up in Acts chapter 24.
Yeah, that's right.
This is Acts chapter 24. Give me verse 1. Brother Phil been slipping on the intro lately. That's a fact. So Sharon, I just be sleepy. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here sleepy, boy. I just need to, I just need a couple more hours of sleep.
Man, who you talking?
Boy, it don't happen a lot. I was at work. You know what I'm saying? I'm at work. And I was supposed to go to a meeting. It had to be like around 10 o'clock. And boy, that thing hit me. You ever had your sleep hit you?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting there like, oh, and I went into the meeting and I'm sitting down and I got to stay alert. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm in there with the big wigs and I'm sitting there ready to just, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking like, boy, I know I'm sleepy. I need to get me some sleep. I've been staying up late for no reason, waking up early for no reason. Yeah, I'm trying to do the Marvel. I'm on Loki.
I'm watching Dragon Ball Z.
This is Acts chapter 24. Give me verse 1. What does the book say?
And after 5 days, And Ananias, the high priest, descended with the elders and with a certain orator named Tertullus, who informed the governor against Paul. And when he was called forth, Tertullus began to accuse him, saying, seeing that by thee we enjoy great quietness, and that very wrothy deeds are done unto this nation by thy providence, we accept it always and in all places, most noble Felix, with all thankfulness.
All right. So he
Notwithstanding,
sent him to Felix. So now he's, is this a letter?
no,
Okay. So he's talking to Felix. Watch this.
we okay. Notwithstanding that I be not further tedious unto thee, I pray thee that thou would hear us of thy clemency a few words. For we have found this man a pestilent fellow and a mover of sedition among the Jews throughout the world, and a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes.
Right. So he basically, he's laying out a case against him. He's like, okay, so look, this is what we found. These are troublemaker. You know what I'm saying? We found this guy a troublemaker. He around there with the Hebrews. He's starting trouble over there. And apparently he's with some sect. When you say sect, think of it like a denomination,
A faction.
a faction, right? A group, a gang. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So he's with the faction or the group or the denomination of the Nazarenes, right? And that's the people from Nazareth. Talking about Yahushua, because remember Yahushua was from Nazareth, so that's how people knew him. They looked at him and was like, "Oh, that's that boy from Nazareth."
Eli,
Right?
put that away.
So he's looking at him and he's like, "Okay, bring him over here. He's a troublemaker. Let's talk through it." Keep going.
Who also has done about to profane the temple, whom we took and would have judged according to our law. But the chief captain Lysias came upon us, and with great violence took him away out of our hands, commanding his accusers to come unto thee, by examining of whom thyself may take knowledge of all these things whereof we accuse him. And the Jews also saying these things were so. Assented, saying these things were so. Excuse me. Then Paul, after that the governor had beckoned unto him to speak, answered, for as much as I know that thou hast been of many years a judge unto this nation, I do more cheerfully answer for myself, because that thou may understand that there are yet but 12 days since I went up to Jerusalem for to worship. And they neither found me in the temple disputing with any man, neither raising up the temple, neither in the synagogues nor in the city.
Right? So Paul basically saying they lying. Ain't nobody saw me causing no trouble. You know what I'm saying? Doing anything I wasn't supposed to be doing. These people are lying on me. That's what he pretty much saying. Keep going.
Neither can they prove the things whereof they now accuse me.
Right? All the stuff they saying about me, they can't prove it. Right? Keep going.
But this I confess unto thee, that after the way which they call heresy, so worship I the God of my fathers, believing all things which are written in the law and in the prophets.
Right? So you got to realize the same word that the man used when he was introducing Paul and he is laying the case against him. He said the sect of the Nazarenes, right? That word sect is the same word as heresy, right? So it means denomination or a group or faction, right? So basically he's saying what they call a denomination or a group or a faction or a gang, what they calling that, keep going. Read it again, I mean.
But this I confess unto thee, that after the way which they call heresy,
Right. So after the way that which they call a sect or a denomination or a faction, keep going.
So worship I the God of my fathers, believing all things which are written in the law and in the prophets.
Right. So you see, he never accepted the fact that they call him the sect of the Nazarenes. It's not like he said, I am, that is true, I'm the sect. He's like, no, based off of what they call the sect, right? Based off of what they call the heresy, yeah, I worship God. Right? Notice how he is. He's very clever with his words. A lot of us, sometimes we want to get into an argument. Right? I was at the barbershop on Thursday. And you know what I'm saying, my boy, he asked me, he's like, yeah, so they always try to be respectful. You know what I'm saying? So what is y'all again? I was like, what you mean? You know what I'm saying? I'm a Hebrew, 100%. He is looking like, Hebrew? I was like, well, what are you asking me? What do you mean, what am I? He is like, you know what I'm saying, like what y'all believe. You know what I'm saying? Because like y'all believe the Bible, right? I was like, oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Well, disciples of the Messiah. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh. All right. And he tried to act like he heard or something like that before. I was like, you ain't never heard it in your darn life. Cut it out. You know what I'm saying? Don't just go ahead and keep asking questions. Ask the next one. He's like, oh, okay, well, I was gonna ask. He's like, no, man. You know what I'm saying? My man down here, he was wondering if you was a Hebrew Israelite. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, let me talk to him. You know what I'm saying? And so he got to talking. He is like, so you a Hebrew Israelite, right? And I was like, well, I'm a disciple of the Messiah. He was like, well, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But you believe the Bible, the whole Bible. I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, yeah. And then he looked at, you know what I'm saying? He looked at the homie. He was looking like, yeah, see, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like Christians. You know what I'm saying? So I look at him, I say, well, you know what I'm saying? We believe the Bible. Yeah, some people going to consider that Christian, but what we actually are is disciples of the Messiah. Period. Right? You can tell Paul is trying to avoid a silly argument. Right? Of course he can argue back, be like, sect of the Nazarene, that ain't even a thing. That's not what we are. We disciples. This, that, no. He could have did that. But he's trying to avoid that whole argument. He's saying, okay, well, yeah, what he was talking about when he was talking about a sect of the Nazarene, after that way, that's I believe on Yahuwah. I believe on God directly from the scriptures. Right? So now it just dispels that as an argument, and now you can avoid that. You don't have to. I'm like Paul's looking like I'm really trying to get a point across. You're like I'm really trying to talk. I'm not about to sit here and argue with you about Christian or Hebrew Israelite or you know what I'm saying. No, what I'm about to do is teach you the truth. Right? The rest of the nomenclature and all that we can get that figured out. Right? Right now I'm trying to teach you the truth. Keep going. Watch this.
And have hope toward God, which they themselves also allow, that there shall be a resurrection of the dead, both of the just and unjust. And herein do I exercise myself to have always a conscience void of offense toward God and toward men. Now after many years I came to bring alms to my nation and offerings, whereupon certain Jews from Asia found me, purified in the temple, neither with multitude nor with tumult, who ought to have been here before thee, and object, if they had aught against me.
Right? He is like, and the boys that started this ain't even here. You know what I'm saying? You would think the boys that had the main complaint, they not even here. If they really had a problem with me, they can call me a liar to my face. But guess what? They're not even here. Right? Keep going. Watch this.
Or else let these same here say, if they have found any evil doing in me while I stood before the council, except it be for this one voice that I cried standing among them, touching the resurrection of the dead, I am called in question by you this day. And when Felix heard these things, having more perfect knowledge of that way, he deferred them and said, when Lysias, the chief captain, shall come down, I will know the uttermost of your matter. And he commanded a centurion to keep Paul and to let him have liberty, and that he should forbid none of his acquaintances to minister or come unto him. And after certain days, when Felix came with his wife Drusilla, which was a Jewess, he sent for Paul and heard him concerning the faith of the Messiah. And as he reasoned of righteousness, temperance, and judgment to come, Felix trembled and answered, go thy way for this time. When I have a convenient season, I will call for thee. He hoped also that money should have been given him of Paul, that he might loose him. Wherefore he sent for him the offender, he sent for him the oftener, and communed with him. But after 2 years, Porcius Festus came unto Felix's room, and Felix, willing to show the Jews a pleasure, left Paul bound.
Right? So now Felix, he got to talking to him. Felix looking like, yeah, okay. You know what I'm saying? All right, I feel you. Listen. You know what I'm saying? And then he started wanting money from Paul. So what he was trying to do is like, you know what I'm saying? Like eventually Paul going to try to pay me off. And if he pay me off, I'll let him loose. So it looked like Paul never paid him. Right? So he kept on talking to Paul. He had talked to him often. You know what I'm saying? Just having regular conversations with him, trying to get a relationship so that he'll pay him off to let him loose. But he never did. But then he also made friends with his accusers. And so his accusers was looking like, nah, man, we cool. Keep him bound up, man. Don't let him loose. Don't take him out of jail yet.
I was in jail for 2 years.
So he didn't do it. He left him in there. Right? That's the end of 24?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to chapter 25. Jump on down to verse 8. This is Acts chapter 25. Let's jump on down to verse 8. Watch what the book say.
While he answered for himself, neither against the law of the Jews, neither against the temple, nor yet against Caesar have I offended anything at all. But Festus, willing to do the Jews a pleasure, answered Paul and said, will you go up to Jerusalem and there be judged of these things before me? Then said Paul, I stand at Caesar's judgment seat, where I ought to be judged. To the Jews have I done no wrong, and as thou very well know.
Right? So basically, you got to understand politically the position that these Gentiles is in, right? They're dealing with a Hebrew. So he looked like somebody we could do whatever we want to. But he's actually a Roman citizen. So if they get caught treating him however they want to treat him, then they going to be held accountable to the judge. So it'll be just like a judge here that's racist, right? So it's like, there's a black person, and I could probably get away with it. But at the same time, this black person got a little bit of notoriety in the community. So it's like, if I do too much, I'm going to get in trouble, right? So that's what they're trying to judge. So now, basically what they're trying to tell him is, all right, well, you want to go back to Jerusalem? You want to go back to what you call home and be judged there? So Paul know if you take him back to Jerusalem, all the Hebrews is going to look at him and be like, no, put him to death. So he like, no, I'm a Roman citizen. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to be, I already appealed to Caesar, right? He appealed to Caesar back in Jerusalem. So he looking like, I already appealed to Caesar. So guess where I'm supposed to be? In front of Caesar. They scared to take him to Caesar because they know that they messed up along the way and it might backfire on them. And then also, they don't know exactly how to charge him. So they taking him to Caesar now. It's like, I don't know, like he started a riot? Like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Can't nobody prove it, but they already punished them for something that can't be proven. So now it's like they have to find a crime so that they can justify the fact that we already put this man in custody. We had him locked up all this time. So now they're taking him to all these different governors so the governor can look at it to try to find a loophole. Like, oh, okay, he broke a law right there. But they can't really find nothing on him, right? All they got is what the Hebrews are saying. The people who originally accused them ain't even showing up. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a big mess that they trying to unravel before it get too big and he end up going to Caesar and everybody get in trouble. Right? Keep going. Watch this.
For if I be an offender or have committed anything worthy of death, I refuse not to die. But if there be of none of these things whereof they accuse me, no man may deliver me unto them. I appeal unto Caesar. Then Festus, when he had conferred with the council, answered, Hast thou appeared unto Caesar? Unto Caesar you shall go. And after certain days, King Agrippa and Bernice came unto Caesarea to salute Festus. And when they had been there many days, Festus declared Paul's cause unto the king, saying, There's a certain man left in bonds by Felix.
So look, Felix got a certain man in jail right now. He telling King Agrippa this. So it's another governor. He's a king, but here's another ruler who they trying to take him to try to get some advice. So look, he said, Felix left this boy. This is Festus talking. So Festus is talking to King Agrippa. And he's saying, man, that boy Felix got this boy locked up right now. Right? Keep going. Watch this.
About whom, when I was at Jerusalem, the chief priests and the elders of the Jews informed me, desiring to have judgment against him.
Mm-hmm.
To whom I answered, It is not the manner of the Romans to deliver any man to die before that which he is accused have the accusers face to face, and have license to answer for himself concerning the crime laid against him.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, when they were come here, without any delay on the morrow, I sat on the judgment seat and commanded the man be brought forth. Against whom, when the accusers stood up, they brought none accusation of such things as I supposed. But at certain
So in other words, what
against
he's saying is, when I said at judgment, because they were trying to get my man's killed, he looking like, oh, when I sit on the judgment, I'm about to hear how Paul had a sword. He didn't cut a whole bunch of people up. Like he think he about to hear a real crime. And then he said, when they came accusing him, they accusing the stuff that I didn't expect. I didn't suppose. Right? He's looking like I didn't expect to hear the stuff that they talking about. Nothing that they said was worthy of death. Right? Keep going. Watch this.
but had certain questions against him of their own superstition.
Right? He's like these like some religious nut jobs, and they talking to him about temples and all this stuff. It's like that's their own stuff. It don't have nothing to do with Roman law. But part of Roman law is to enforce the local laws. You know what I'm saying? So he's caught in a conundrum, right? Keep going.
Against him of their own superstition, and of one Yahushua, which was dead, whom Paul affirmed to be alive. And because I doubted of such manner of questions, I asked him whether he would go to Jerusalem and there be judged of these matters. But when Paul had appealed to be reserved unto the hearing of Augustus, I commanded him to be kept till I might send him to Caesar. Then Agrippa said unto Festus, I would also hear the man myself. I would also hear the man myself. Tomorrow, said he, thou shalt hear him. And on the morrow, when Agrippa was come, and Bernice with great pomp, and was entered into the place of hearing with the chief captains and principal men of the city at Festus's commandment, Paul was brought forth. And Festus said, King Agrippa, and all men which are present with us, ye see this man, about whom all the multitude of the Jews have dealt with me, both at Jerusalem and also here, crying that he ought not to live any longer. But when I found that he had committed nothing worthy of death, and that he himself has appeared to Augustus, I have determined to send him, of whom I have no certain thing to write unto my Lord. Wherefore I have brought him forth before you, and specially before thee, O King Agrippa, that after examination had, I might have somewhat to write. For it seems to me unreasonable to send a prisoner, and not withal to signify the crimes laid against him.
Right? So he's saying it don't make sense to me to send this man all the way to Caesar, and I don't even really have a good crime to write down for him. I don't have nothing to charge him with. Right? That's what they're concerned about. They looking like, okay, well, like hear him out and see if you can find an angle or at least something that we can put on his jacket. Meanwhile, they got the man locked up. Right? Keep going.
Then Agrippa said unto Paul, thou art permitted to speak for thyself. Then
This
Paul,
chapter 6? I mean 26?
Yeah.
This chapter 26, what, verse 1?
Yeah.
This chapter 26, verse 1. Watch what the book say.
Then Paul stretched forth his hand and answered for himself. I think myself happy, King Agrippa, because I shall answer for myself this day before thee, touching all the things whereof I am accused of the Jews, especially because I know thee to be expert in all customs and questions which are among the Jews.
Right? So he's talking to King Agrippa, and he got happy. He said, oh, now I'm happy because I feel like you know our customs. He said that he believes that King Agrippa is familiar with our laws and with our customs, the things that we do, the way that we live. Right? So he's like, man, I'm happy to tell you this stuff to you. So now watch how he talked to King Agrippa.
Wherefore I beseech thee to hear me patiently. My manner of life from my youth, which was at the first among mine own nation at Jerusalem, know all the Jews, which knew me from the beginning, if they would testify that after the most straightest sect of our religion I lived a Pharisee.
Right? So he's telling them, he's like, man, a lot of these boys know me. These boys know who I am. I'm telling you, if they would tell the truth, they know who I am. From my youth, how I get it. Right? Man, these boys know where I'm from. It ain't nobody more strict than a Pharisee, and that's where I come from. Right? He trying to tell him. So King Agrippa is already, he can talk. Notice look at the difference in the way that he talking to King Agrippa. King Agrippa understand these things. So he talking to King, he just giving it up to King Agrippa. Watch this, keep going.
And now I stand and am judged for the hope of the promise made of God unto our fathers, unto which promise our 12 tribes instantly serving God day and night hope to come. For which hope's sake, King Agrippa, I am accused of the Jews.
Right? He said, for which our 12 tribes do what?
Hope.
Right? That's all the tribes. Keep going.
Why should it be thought a thing incredible with you that God should raise the dead? I verily thought with myself that I ought to do many things contrary to the name of Yahushua of Nazareth, which thing I also did in Jerusalem, and many of the saints did I shut up in prison, having received authority from the chief priests. And when they were put to death, I gave my voice against them. And I punished them often in every synagogue, and compelled them to blaspheme. And being exceedingly mad against them, I persecuted them even unto strange cities. Whereupon, as I went to Damascus with authority and commission from the chief priests, at midday, O king, I saw on the way a light from heaven above the brightness of the sun, shining round about me and them which journeyed with me.
Right? So think of it, you ever seen a movie where so I've been watching Marvel, so you got Thor, right? In the movie Thor, you know what I'm saying? He lift up his hammer and he call on what's his name? Heimdall, what's his name?
Heimdall.
Heimdall. He called on Heimdall, you know what I'm saying? And Heimdall will send that rainbow beam on him. Yeah. And it's a beam that just come down. It's a rainbow beam. Yeah. And then it zips him up. You know what I'm saying? So like that's what Paul kind of experienced, except it wasn't a rainbow, it was just a bright light. You know what I'm saying? So he's looking and he's trying to retell. He is like, man, I remember we was on our way to what, Damascus?
Damascus.
We was on our way to Damascus. You know what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden we ride and we almost there. And then a bright light, he say brighter than the sun, it just surrounded me. Right? Keep going, watch this.
And when we were fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks.
Right? So he said, man, I heard a voice. You know what I'm saying? And when I heard that voice, it was telling me, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? It got to be hard to kick against the golds. So remember, we talked about what a gold is. A gold is kind of like a little spear, but it's not meant like a spear is a weapon. It's meant to hurt somebody or kill somebody, right? The gold is a little different. It's kind of like a spear. It's a little sharp at the end, but it's not really meant to kill nobody or do no real damage to anybody. It's just meant to like just prick, you know what I'm saying, at an animal so that the animal go, ooh, you know what I'm saying? You somebody poke you right here, what's gonna happen? You go, ooh, you know what I'm saying? You go like that, move to the side. So if you got you a big old cow, you know what I'm saying? Whoever seen a cow, you know what I'm saying? You see a big old cow, you can't move a cow. You try to push a cow, it ain't gonna move. It's too sturdy. So you try to push a cow, and it's like that cow gonna look at you. You know what I'm saying? Just stand there, right? So what you do is you get you a little goal, and when you want that cow to move out the way, all you do is just poke him a little bit, and then he feel that poke, and he say, ooh, and then he start moving out the way because he don't want to get poked no more. So that's what the gold is. So imagine a cow that you're trying to poke to get out the way, but that cow keeps kicking against the poke. So you poking it that way, but it keep going against the poke. How you think that makes the cow feel? It's gonna hurt, right? And so that's what Yah is telling Paul. He's like, Paul, like I'm trying to poke you to move out the way, but you keep kicking against the prick or kicking against the goal, right? So he's trying to explain to him like you're going. In other words, another way of saying you're going against the grain. You ever heard that phrase before? Somebody going against the grain? Like you're going against the grain. You're making it harder on yourself is what he's trying to tell you, right? All you got to do is do what I'm telling you to do. You making it harder on yourself. So Paul heard this voice, right? Keep going.
And I said, who art thou, master? And he said, I am Yahushua, whom you persecute. But rise and stand upon your feet, for I have appeared unto thee for this purpose, to make thee a minister and a witness both of these things which thou hast seen, and of those things in which I will appear unto thee, delivering thee from the people and from the Gentiles, unto whom I now send thee, to open their eyes and to turn them from darkness to light, and from the power of Satan unto God, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and inherit among them which are sanctified by faith that is in me.
Mm-hmm.
Whereupon, O King Agrippa, I was not disobedient unto the heavenly vision, but showed first unto them of Damascus and at Jerusalem and throughout all the coasts of Judah, and then to the Gentiles, that they should repent and turn to God and do works meet for repentance. For these causes the Jews caught me in the temple and went about to kill me. Having therefore obtained help of God, I continued unto this day, witnessing both to small and great, saying none other things than those which the prophets and Moses did say should come.
Right? So he's looking like, man, look, I came out of all that stuff. I saw the vision. I didn't hesitate. I was obedient to what Yah called me to do. So I went out and I'm teaching the Gentiles and everybody else. This is how you enter into the kingdom, right? Through faith, right? So Paul, the sister asked, she's like, did he say he was a Pharisee? Yeah, that's what he said. He said he's a Pharisee. He was a Pharisee, right? And then then the sister, let me see. She said, is he saying he's no longer a Pharisee, but only when in trouble under the Roman law? So no, he's not saying that he's
recalling his past life.
Yeah, he's telling. You have to look at it from his position, right? You have people who keep the law telling Paul that he's trying to speak against the law, right? So they treating him like he's some random sinner. So Paul is basically going to them saying that doesn't even make sense. Ask them boys who I am. They know me. They knew me from a young boy. I was a Pharisee. I kept the law more than they did, right? That's the point he's trying to make. He's saying I came from the strictest sect of our people, which is the Pharisees. So he's like, that's how I was grown up. That's how I used to give it up. I used to be the one doing what they do, and I went further than they went. So he's doing all this to get credibility. He's basically saying, I'm not just somebody who just popped up and just start believing something. No, I advanced past everybody who's accusing me something, everything that they believe, I've advanced past what they believe. He basically saying, I am the graduation of where you guys are. Like, I've made it to the next step. They're still lagging behind. It's not like he's doing something totally different. He's further along on the path, right? So, yeah, he's not saying I'm not a Pharisee, but I am a Pharisee right now because I think it'll get me out of trouble, right? What he's trying to say is, this is my credibility. These are my credentials to be able to speak on this matter.
It's like
I was raised as a Pharisee, and everybody respect the Pharisees.
it's like I'm from the hood. I'm the OG, and I got the little homies trying to question me.
Exactly.
No, son.
That am I a little. Keep going.
That the Messiah should suffer, and that he should be the first that should rise from the dead and show light unto the people and to the Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
And as he thus spake for himself, Festus said with a loud voice, Paul, thou art beside thyself. Much learning does make thee mad.
Right? So that was Festus.
Wait, I think there was Agrippa. Oh, Festus, yeah, Festus.
So Festus, remember, he's talking to Agrippa. King Agrippa understands these things. So Festus is on the side. You remember, Festus is the one. So it started with Felix, right? Felix was the governor. Then Felix was like, man, go holler at Festus. So Festus is like, man, let me try to clean this thing up. Then Festus is hollering at King Agrippa. So he's like, all right, man, look, King Agrippa, why don't you listen to him? So Festus is listening to Paul talk to King Agrippa, right? Remember, Festus has heard this already, but not with this detail. Like he's going into a little bit more detail with King Agrippa because he feels like King Agrippa understands these things, right? These are things that Festus won't understand. So sure enough, when Paul got done talking about all the stuff, Festus looking at him like, well, that boy, Crib, what is you even talking about? People raising from the dead. And this is like, what in the world? Boy, you doing too much reading. Boy, you smart, but you doing too much. You got to leave that stuff alone. Boy, you know what I'm saying? He's looking at him like, this dude is crazy. I see why they want you dead. You're talking crazy talk. But watch King Agrippa. Watch this.
But he said, I am not mad, most noble Festus, but speak forth the words of truth and soberness.
Mm-hmm.
For the king knoweth of these things, before whom also I speak freely. For I am persuaded that none of these things are hidden from him, for this thing was not done in a corner.
Right? So he's telling them, he looked back at Festus, he's looking like, no, I ain't crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you the truth. You know what I'm saying? And the king, he kind of talked about him like he ain't even there. And the king, you got to imagine him, he looking right at Festus. You know what I'm saying? King Agrippa right over here. And the king know exactly what I'm talking about because what I'm talking about didn't happen in no little corner. In other words, like it wasn't a secret. Everybody know what I'm talking about if you from where we from. Right? So he looking like the king know exactly what I'm talking about. So now I like to imagine he looked back over at the king like, huh? You know what I'm saying? Say something. You know what I'm saying? Now watch this.
King Agrippa, believest thou the prophets? I know that you believe.
Right? So he look at King Agrippa, he is like, don't you believe the prophets? I know you believe the prophets. You know what I'm saying? I know you believe our stuff. I know you, King Agrippa. You know what I'm saying? Don't you believe the prophet? I know you believe. Watch this.
Then Agrippa said unto Paul, almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian?
Right? So then King Agrippa looked at him, and King Agrippa kind of acknowledging like, you convincing, boy. Because King Agrippa know our stuff. He know the prophets. He understands our history. He understands where we from. Right? So then when he said it to him, you remember, Festus don't get it. So Festus is looking at him like, man, this boy is crazy. So when Paul turned around, he talking to Festus like, no, I'm not crazy. I'm telling you the truth. Matter of fact, I know you think it's crazy, but King Agrippa know exactly what I'm talking about. King Agrippa from where I'm from. King Agrippa, don't you believe the prophets? I know you believe the prophets, King Agrippa. Right? And then King Agrippa turned around and was like, look, bro, You almost convinced me to be a darn Christian. Right? Because that's what they called the disciples. The Romans called the disciples Christians. Right? So he's looking like, man, you almost convinced me to be a darn Christian. Right? Now watch how Paul can argue about being a Christian. Right? Just like when they said the sect of the Nazarenes, he could have argued about that. Here, he's calling them a Christian. Paul technically could have argued about that. Like, no. We called to be disciples, this, that, and other. But watch how Paul handles it. Watch this.
And Paul said, I would to God that not only you, but also all that hear me this day were both almost and altogether such as I am, except these bonds.
Right? So instead of him going back and forth of whether he's a Christian or a disciple and all that, he bypasses it. He never acknowledges and accepts that he's a Christian because he's not, right? But at the same time, he bypasses and said, you know what? I wish that everybody who was listening was all together just like me in everything that I'm talking about, but not including the fact that I'm locked up. Right? I wish all y'all who's in my hearing could be just like me, you know what I'm saying, and believe the same thing that I believed in, and they didn't have to be locked up to do it. Right? So that's his way of basically bypassing, like, I know you called me a Christian. That's not accurate, but never mind that. I do want you to be just like me. Right? I do want you to believe exactly what I believe in. Right? So now let's go check that out. Let's keep going. Watch this.
And when he had thus spoken, the king rose up, and the governor and Bernice, and they sat with them. And when they were gone aside, they talked between themselves, saying, This man does nothing worthy of death or of bonds. Then said Agrippa unto Festus, This man might have been set at liberty if he had not appealed unto Caesar.
Right? So King Agrippa, like, no, I don't play about the rules now. He's saying, technically, I would have let him free. But he appealed to Caesar, so he gets to see Caesar. So King Agrippa basically said, y'all messed up. Y'all messed up because he's really not even supposed to be locked up. And now he appealed to Caesar. So this whole situation about to get reviewed. So, you know what I mean? Send him on up. Right? Keep going. Watch this. That's the end of the chapter?
Yeah.
This is Acts chapter 27, verse 1.
And when it was determined that we should sail into Italy, they delivered Paul and certain other prisoners unto one named Julius, a centurion of Augustus' band.
Why are they going to Italy?
Because he got to go see Caesar in Rome.
Right? Rome is in Italy. So that's where he has to go because that's where Caesar is, also known as Augustus. Mm-hmm. Right? That's where Caesar is. So now he has to go to Rome and he has to go see Caesar. So now they're going to Italy. Watch this.
And entering into a ship of Adramyttium, we launched, meaning to sail by the coasts of Asia, one Aristarchus, a Macedonian of Thessalonica, being with us. And the next day we touched at Sidon, and Julius courteously entreated Paul, and gave him liberty to go unto his friends to refresh himself. And when we had launched from thence, we sailed under Cyprus, because the winds were contrary. And when we had sailed over the sea of Cilicia and Pamphylia, we came to Myra, a city of Lycia. And there the centurion found a ship of Alexandria sailing to Italy, and put us therein. And when we had sailed slowly many days, and scarce were come over against Cnidius, the wind not suffering us, we sailed under Crete over against Salmone. And hardly passing it, come unto a place which is called the Fair Havens, nigh whereunto was the city of Lasea. When much time was spent, and when sailing was now dangerous, because the fast was now already past, Paul admonished them, and said unto them, Sirs, I perceive that this voyage will be with hurt and much damage, not only of the lading and ship, but also of our lives.
Right? So he's telling them, he's like, listen, he's saying I perceive, but in other words, like, I got a message from the Most High God that this is about to be a tough ride. Right? So they selling the ship and they going all along the coast, right? So they went down to Alexandria, that would be Egypt, right? So they're going down towards Egypt. Then they got on another ship and started to come up, right? And so they're supposed to be going to Italy. I ain't gonna pull up the map, but if you look at Italy from where they are now, Italy is gonna be to the west. It's gonna be north and to the west, right? So they had this. They could have soared north and west, but the way the routes go, it's like catching a bus. It's like we getting on this ship to go here because they didn't have their own ship. So they went on this ship to go here, then they hopping on the next ship to go there. So they like catching a bus to get to where they at. So they went down first, then they coming up, but then it's like, okay, well now the weather bad, right? Or now this is going on, or now this is going on. So they dealing with bad weather, right? Keep going, watch this.
Nevertheless, the centurion believed the master and the owner of the ship more than those things which were spoken of by Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And because the haven was not commodious to winter in, the more part advised to depart from there also, if by any means they might attain to Phoenix, and there to winter, which is an haven of Crete, and lieth toward the southwest and northwest. And when the south wind blew softly, supposing that they had obtained their purpose, loosing thence, they sailed by Crete, close by Crete. But not long after there arose against it a tempestuous wind called Euroclydon.
Right. So now the weather hitting hard. Right. A tempestuous wind. That just means a heavy wind, a storm. Right. Is hitting the ship at this point. So now it gets shaky. Right. You in the ship and they got a sail on it, and the wind hit so hard the whole boat started to turn like this. So everybody on the ship like this. Oh, and then stuff, you got barrels and stuff rolling, hitting against the side. Then guess what? What happened with water when it go one way? Gonna come back the other way, ain't it? So now you on the ship and it go like that. Everything rolls to this side. Then guess what? Yo! Then you roll back on this side. So everybody's scared because it feels like the boat about to tip over. Watch this.
And when the ship was caught and could not bear up into the wind, we let her drive. And running under a certain island, which is called Clauda, we had much work to come by the boat, which when they had taken up, they used helps, undergirding the ship, and fearing lest they should fall into the quicksands, strake sail, and so were driven.
Right? So now when they were so deep into the water and it was rocking the ship, they was looking like, okay, we got to get near land. So they went to this island. But then when they got to the island, it was quicksand. So it was wet sand that was coming, you know what I'm saying, that was getting into the boat. So it was more stable, but they was afraid that they would get stuck. So then they went ahead and anchored down, stayed in the water so that they wouldn't get stuck, right? Watch this.
And we, being exceedingly tossed with a tempest, the next day they lightened the ship. And the third day we cast out with our own hands the tackling of the ship.
Right? So now, because the ship is rocking back and forth, they think it's gonna sink. So what they said is, okay, we got to get some of the weight off of the ship, because if we don't get some of the weight and it's too heavy, we're gonna sink with all this wind. So they started to throw stuff off of the ship, right? Throwing stuff off. Okay, did anybody need that? We don't need that. We don't need. They throwing it off. Okay, that's too heavy. Get rid of that. Boom. So they throwing off as much as they can. Then they throwing off parts of the ship. So not only just equipment that they brought on the ship, now it's different parts of the ship. They unscrewing it and throwing it off just to make the ship lighter. Right? Keep going.
And the third day we cast out with our own hands the tackling of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And when neither sun nor stars in many days appeared, and no small tempest lay on us, all hope that we should be saved was taken away. But
Right.
after long abstinence.
So look, many days, he said, passed, and they didn't see the sun. They didn't see the stars. Right? That's how everything was just pitch black. Why might that be? How would many days pass by, but they didn't see the sun or the stars? That's how bad the storm was. That's how thick the clouds were. Right? It's just dark all day, all night. They in the water on this little island, and they looking like, man, I don't know how far we about to get.
First time I seen real dark clouds. Texas, they got them.
Yeah, they be dark.
I ain't never seen nothing like
it. Yeah, they ain't be dark. Right? Keep going. Watch this.
But after long abstinence, Paul stood forth in the midst of them and said, Sirs, ye should have hearkened unto me and not have loosed from Crete to have gained this harm and loss.
Right? So Paul had enough. Paul just kind of sitting there. Remember, Paul in jail. So he just sitting there in chains, and just kind of watching. Everybody freaking out. They throwing stuff off of the boat. They look like we're all gonna die. We haven't seen the sunlight. We don't even know where we are right now. Like they all freaking out. So Paul just sitting there kind of like, all right. You know what I'm saying? And after a while, he had enough. He looking like, look, sirs. You know what I'm saying? Y'all should have listened to me because I told y'all if we take this trip, it's going to come with hurt. And I told you it wasn't just about the ship. It's going to be lives, right? But watch what Paul said.
And now I exhort you to be of good cheer, for there shall be no loss of any man's life among you, but of the ship. For there stood by me this night the angel of God, whose I am, and whom I serve, saying, Fear not, Paul, thou must be brought before Caesar, and lo, God has given thee all them that sail with thee. Wherefore, sirs, be of good cheer, for I believe God that it shall be even as it was told to me. Howbeit we must be cast upon a certain island. But when the 14th night was come, as we were driven up and down in Adria, about midnight the shipmen deemed that they drew near to some country.
Right? So now they on the move again. Paul just told them, Paul's like, listen, look, y'all should have listened to me, but the angel came to me. He told me everything going to be all right. He told me that everybody with me is going to be saved. They're going to be all right, right? Y'all going to be delivered from this ship, right? He said, we going to lose no human life except the ship. So the ship, he's saying the ship is going to be destroyed. It's done. You know what I'm saying? But as long as y'all listen to me, y'all going to survive this thing. He's like, what's going to happen is we're going to go to a different land or a different island, and we're going to crash land on that island. He's telling them how it's about to play out, right? Then you got to imagine they listen to him. But just think about how crazy it is. The wind blowing. Everybody feel like they about to die. And you had this dude walking up calmly. Like, hey, I'm trying to tell y'all should have listened to me, this, that, and other. You meanwhile, you throwing stuff off of the boat trying to like survive. And he just calmly like in chains. Look, what I'm telling you is, and he's a prisoner. Not everybody know his story. So some of them is looking at him like, boy, you would tell me anything to escape.
Yeah, if it's something to eat.
Right? They think he's trying to get out of jail free. So he looking at him like, you know what I'm saying? So you got to imagine they looking at him like, you know what I'm saying? We ain't listening to you. We trying to survive out here. They think they saving Paul's life. Meanwhile, Paul got a message from the Most High God like, man, I'm saving y'all life. Right? Watch this. Keep going.
Daddy, can I eat a hamburger?
Sure. Ain't no milk, ain't no dairy in it. Oh, well, no. Sorry, Ezra. But when the wait, my man. But when the 14th night was come, as we had driven up and down Adria about midnight, the shipmen deemed that they drew near to some country, and sounded and found it 20 fathoms. And when they had gone a little further, they sounded again and found it 15 fathoms.
Right? So they can't see anything. So what they're doing right now is pretty much sonar. Right? So they send a sound and they wait for the sound to come back, to vibrate back to them. Right? And based off of that, they calculate the distance based off of the speed of sound. Right? So they looking at it, they play a sound, they say, boom, right? And they wait for that boom to echo back. And when that boom echoes back, it means that it must have hit something solid and then echoed back at us. And so they look at how long it takes for it to echo back, and they say, okay, that means we this far away. Okay, we only 1 mile away now. And they use it, it's pretty much sonar, right? What people call sonar now, where you use sonar like a radar, you know what I'm saying, to figure out, you know what I'm saying, how far something is or what hard objects are around you. Keep going, watch this.
Then, fearing lest we should have fallen upon rocks, they cast 4 anchors out of the stern and wished for the day.
Right? So after that, they can't see a thing. But the sonar is making them feel like we getting close to land. So just in case, and they don't know how fast they going, they don't know how slow they going. So just in case, they like, all right, look, just in case we about to run into some land right now, because you in a ship. If you run into the land too hard, what's gonna happen?
Ship gonna wreck, y'all gonna crash.
Ship gonna wreck. Everybody gonna die, just like crashing a car, right? You might be going 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour on the water, just because the water is a storm. So the water and the wind is probably pushing you fast. You might be going even faster than that. And then you hit the land like that, the whole ship rip apart and everybody go flying and people die. right? So they trying to avoid that from happening. So they looking like, okay, throw the anchors out, all 4 of them things, because the anchors are going to slow the ship down if they are going too fast, right? Keep going. And it's hard to know how fast you're going because you can't see. And all you got is a bunch of wind blowing. So when you're going fast in a car and you roll down the window, what does it feel like? Because you can feel the wind, right? Your hair blowing and all that. So it's like, ooh, we going fast. Now imagine it being pitch black, right? And somebody got a big fan outside of the window of the car and the car is in park. You wouldn't know if you're going fast or if that's just a big fan on the outside because it feels the same. So that's how they are right now. They feel the boat rocking. They don't know. It's like, are we going super fast? Or is it just hard wind? Or what? Just to be safe, throw them darn anchors out there. Right? So they threw the anchors out and then watch what happened.
And as the shipmen were about to flee out of the ship, when they had let down the boat into the sea under color, as though they
What verse is it?
30.
30.
As though they would have cast anchors out of the foreship, Paul said to the centurion and to the soldiers, except these abide in the ship, you cannot be saved.
He said, except these abide in the ship, you cannot be saved. So what he's telling them is, everybody else is ready to like, I'm about to jump out of this thing, right? Because they don't know what's about to happen. They looking like, man, I'm about to jump out. I'm just about to jump in the water and swim for it, right? Because they think they're about to crash. But Paul tells me, yep, listen, if you jump out of this ship, you're going to die, right? If you stay in the ship with me, you will be saved. What does that remind us of?
City of refuge.
City of refuge. Give me, what is it? Joshua. Oh, that's a good one. City of refuge. 20. What'd you say? 27? Let's try
Numbers.
Joshua 17. Verse, yeah, you're probably right. Verse 1. Let's do Joshua chapter 17, verse 1. Let's see what the book says. What you think, Azariah? What you think? You say verse 10?
There was also a lot for the tribe of Manasseh, for he was the firstborn of Joseph.
No, that ain't it. Let me see what 18 say. 18 verse 1.
And the whole congregation of the children of Israel assembled together at Shiloh and set up the tabernacle.
You don't see city of refuge, none? All right, let's try numbers. What is it in numbers? You remember?
I want to say somewhere in the 30s.
Yeah, it's 30. 35, you think so? I don't think it's 35. Let's try numbers 35. It's somewhere around there. It's like 36, 37, somewhere around there. There's no 37? What I'm thinking of. What's the last one? 36?
36, yeah. 35.
This is Numbers chapter 35, verse 1. Is it verse 1?
Verse 9.
It's Numbers chapter 35, verse 9. Good job.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When you become over Jordan into the land of Canaan, then ye shall appoint you cities, to be cities of refuge for you, that the slayer may flee there, which kills any person unawares. And they shall be unto you cities for refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer die not until he stand before the congregation in judgment.
Right? So now if a person accidentally kills someone, right? I mean, let's say you chopping down a tree. You ever chopped down a tree before? So you got to get an axe, right? And then you go like this, shoulder straight. You know what I'm saying? Yak it, yak it, yak it. You know what I'm saying? You do that. And you doing it hard and fast, right? Exactly. Azariah, have you done this before? Oh. So look, you boom. And then you swing it back. Somebody call your name. You like, huh? And then you accidentally let it go. And then chop somebody's head off. Right? Did you mean to kill that person? Yes. However, just because you didn't mean to kill that person, there's still a consequence. So your consequence, because you accidentally killed that person probably has a brother or a sister. What do you think their brother or sister gonna feel like?
No, they're gonna be really mad
as the rappers say, they gonna try to get it back in blood. You know what I'm talking about? As the rappers say, they might try to spin on you. You know what I'm talking about? So then, what you gonna do? Woo! Boom! Cut his head off. Then they're gonna take you. In our law, we gonna take you to the city of refuge. So this is a city where the priest is, and you have to remain contained in that city until you face trial. And in trial, they'll tell you, "Nah, you meant to do that. You guilty," and then you'll be put to death anyway. Or they'll say you didn't mean to do that. If you didn't mean to do it, and the judge agrees, then you have to stay in the city of refuge until the high priest dies. Right? That's the consequence of accidentally killing somebody. Right? You pretty much stay not in jail like we think of it, but you have to stay in a confined city. You can't go outside the bounds of that city. As long as you're in the bounds of that city, then you're safe. But watch this.
And of these cities which you shall give, 6 cities shall ye have for refuge. You shall give 3 cities on this side Jordan. 3 cities shall you give in the land of Canaan, which shall be cities of refuge. These 6 cities shall be a refuge, both for the children of Israel and for the stranger, and for the sojourner among them, that everyone that killeth the person unawares may flee there. And if he smite him with an instrument of iron so that he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. And if he smite him with throwing of a stone wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. Or if he smite him with a hand weapon of wood, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall be put to death. The revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer when he meets him; he shall slay him. But if he thrust him of hatred, or hurl at him by laying of weight that he die, or in enmity smite him with his hand that he die, he that smote him shall surely be put to death, for he is a murderer. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meets him. But if he thrust him certainly without enmity,
Well, he said, but if he do it without enmity, in other words, he do it and he didn't have nothing against him, he didn't mean to do it, he wasn't trying to do it. Watch this.
or have cast upon him anything without laying of weight, or with any stone wherewith a man shall die, seeing him not, and cast it upon him that he die, and was not his enemy, neither sought his harm, then the congregation shall judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood according to these judgments. And the congregation shall deliver the slayer out of the hand of the revenger of blood, and the congregation shall restore him to the city of his refuge where he was fled, and he shall abide in it until the death of the high priest, which was anointed with the holy oil.
Right? So he has to stay there until the death of the high priest, which was anointed with the oil. Watch this, though.
But if the slayer shall at any time come outside
Now,
of
if
the
the
border of
person
the
who
city,
accidentally killed, right, I accidentally killed somebody, if at any time he do what now?
come outside the border of the city of his refuge where he was fled, and the revenger of blood find him without outside the borders of the city of his refuge, and the revenger of blood kill the slayer, he shall not be guilty of blood, because he should have remained in the city of refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the slayer shall return into the land of his possession.
As long as you stay in the city of refuge, you safe, you protected, you're delivered, right? But the moment you set foot outside the city of refuge, then guess what? There is no guilt for the revenger of old boy's brother who I killed, who trying to spin on me. As soon as I step my foot outside the city of refuge, guess what? He can legally kill me, right? He can get revenge for his brother, and there's no guilt for him. Only because I stepped outside the city of refuge. That's how our law works, right? So, yes, when Paul told them, if you stay in this ship, right, you will be saved. But anybody who goes outside of this ship, y'all gonna die, right? That's just like the city of refuge, right? The sister said it reminded her of Passover. Grab Exodus chapter 12. Let's see if it's similar to Passover. This is Exodus chapter 12. We can go ahead and start at verse 1. This is Exodus chapter 12, verse 1.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak you unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month they shall take of them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house.
Mm-hmm.
And if the household be too little for a lamb, let him and his neighbor next to him, his house, take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb.
Mm-hmm.
Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it unto the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses where they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire.
Right? So if I got me a nice lamb, I get it. I pick it out on the 10th day. I took it of the first year from the goats or from the lamb. And I brought it in and I slaughtered it on the 14th day, right? And then I cooked that boy. And you know how I cooked him? I put him on the stove and boiled him. You know what I'm saying? Boiled them in some nice hot, you know what I'm saying, goat's milk. You know what I'm saying? Boiled that boy, got it nice and seasoned, and then we got it out, took it out that thing, it's nice, cut it open, and started to eat it. Did I keep the Passover?
No,
Why not?
because he said roasted on fire.
You gotta roast that boy on fire. Put that thing on the grill. What's wrong with you? Well, you better put that thing on the grill. You ain't gonna see us having no darn boiled darn, you know what I'm saying, lamb on Passover. That's not appropriate. Right? Right. So when we look at our ancestors, when they kept the Passover, they had to be cooked over fire, over an open flame. Keep going. Watch this. Like a grill. That's right. Like a campfire too. Yeah.
Eat not of it raw or sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the pertinence thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remain of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire.
Mm-hmm.
And thus shall you eat it with your loins girded, and your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And you shall eat it in haste. It is Yahuwah's Passover.
Mm-hmm.
For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both of man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am Yahuwah.
Right. So he gonna pass through the land of Egypt. Watch this.
And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt.
So remember, we had to kill the lamb, slaughter the lamb, and then we took the blood that came out the lamb. Because once we slit, you know what I'm saying, we take the lamb's throat and we slit it so the blood can start coming out. And then you hang it upside down. You let all the blood pour out because it's against our law to eat the animal with the blood. So that the blood spilling out, we take a little bit of that blood, and then we go to our house door, right? And we look at the door, and then we strike it with the blood, and we kind of put blood on the top, then blood on the sides right here. And that's what our law told us to do. So now we cover the edges of our door with blood that came from the lamb, right? And then watch what happened now.
And this day shall be unto
Go
you.
back one.
And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt.
Right? So anybody who has a door that has blood on it, Most High God said, I'll skip you. Right? I'm going to pass over you. Right? Keep going.
And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it as a feast to Yahuwah throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from among Israel. And on the first day ye shall be a holy convocation, and in the 7th day shall be a holy convocation to you.
Mm-hmm.
No manner of work shall be done in them, except that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. And you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for it is the selfsame day that I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore you shall observe this day in your generations by ordinance forever. In the first month of the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 1 and 20th day of the month at even. 7 days there shall be no leaven found in your houses, for whosoever eats that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from among the congregation of Israel, where he be a stranger or born in the land. You shall eat nothing leavened in all your habitations. You shall eat unleavened bread. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, Draw out and take a lamb according to your families and kill the Passover.
Mm-hmm.
And you shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in blood that is in a basin and strike the lintel and the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin.
Mm-hmm.
And none of you shall go out of the door
And
of
none
his
of you do
house.
what now?
Go out of the door of his house until the morning.
Why?
For Yahuwah will pass through and smite the Egyptians. And when he sees the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, Yahuwah will pass over the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you.
Uh-huh.
And you shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever.
So the sister said it remind her of Passover. What y'all think? I think she's right. Because the book say, if you stay in the house with the blood on your door, you safe. Moses said, but do not come out of that house. Right? Because if you come out of the house, now you're going to be touched. Your family going to get touched just like everybody else going to get touched in Egypt. Right? But if you stay in the house with the blood on your door, then you get passed over. Right? What else do it remind y'all of? Right? When Paul tell him, if you stay in the ship, you will be saved. However, if you go outside this ship, you're going to die. What else does it remind you of?
Yahushua.
Yahushua. Let me get John chapter 15. I like verse 1. This is John chapter 15, verse 1. Why don't you relax, boy?
I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman.
Uh-huh.
Every branch in me that bears not fruit, he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit, he purges it, that it may bring forth fruit. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you.
Mm-hmm.
Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine.
Mm-hmm.
No more can you, except you abide in me.
Uh-huh.
I am the vine, you are the branches. He that abides in me, and I in him, the same brings forth much fruit.
Uh-huh. So
For
if
without me,
you
can do
remain in him, right, you bring forth a lot of fruit. However, keep going.
If a man abide not in me,
But if you're not inside of him, what happened?
he is cast forth as a branch and withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned.
Right? So if you remain in him, you grow all types of fruit. You become a wonderful garden. Right? If you're on the outside of him, then you become a branch that's dried up and thrown into fire and burned. Right? So this is exactly like Yahushua. Right? This is exactly like Yahushua. So what Paul is doing, it testifies of Yahushua. The conversation that he's having with these men that's on the boat, his actions, the situation, it all testifies of Yahushua. Right? It also reminds me, I appreciate y'all because, you know what I'm saying, I didn't even think about none of the ones y'all were talking about. I was thinking about Genesis. Right? I was thinking about how Noah, right? Noah built the ship, and then there was a flood, and there was a crazy wind, right? And the wind started pushing the boat back and forth, right? And it was going, and he had to lock it up in there, and it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and then the water started coming down, but everybody inside of that ship survived the flood. Right? Everything that was not in the ship died. Right? I was thinking about darn Noah. But all this work, right? Whether it be the city of refuge, right? Whether it be Passover, whether it be Yahushua being us abiding in Yahushua and us having fruit if we abide in him, or whether it be the flood, right? All of it testifies of Yahushua, and all of it is very similar to the conversation that Paul is having with these men. Let's jump back. This is what verse?
Acts 27:31.
This is Acts chapter 27, verse 31. Watch what the book say.
Paul said unto the centurion and to the soldiers, except ye abide in the ship, ye cannot be saved. Then the soldiers cut off the ropes of the boat and let her fall off. And while the day was coming on, Paul besought them all to take meat, saying, This day is the 14th day that ye have tarried and continued fasting, having taken nothing. Wherefore I pray you to take some meat, for this is for you, for this is for your health. For there shall not an hair fall from the head of any of you. And when he had thus spoken, he took bread and gave thanks to God in the presence of them all. And when he had broken it, he began to eat.
Right?
Then
So these people haven't been eating throughout all this storm because they looking like, man, some of the food they probably threw off. They trying to make the food last. They just nervous and focused, scared, can't sleep. So they haven't eaten in all this time. He said it's 14 days, 2 weeks y'all haven't ate. He looked like everything gonna be all right. Y'all eat. So he told them to go ahead and eat. Right? Keep going.
And when they had eaten enough, they lighted the ship. Wait, my bad. Hold on. Then were they all of good cheer, and they also took some meat. And we were in all in the ship 276 souls. And when they had eaten enough, they lighted the ship and cast out the wheat into the sea. And when it was day, they knew not the land, but they discovered a certain creek with a shore, into which they were minded, if it were possible, to thrust in the ship. And when they had taken up the anchors, they committed themselves into the sea, and loosed the rudder bands, and hoisted up the mainsail to the wind, and made toward shore. And falling into the place where two seas met, they ran the ship aground, and the fore part struck fast and remained unmovable, but the hinder part was broken with the violence of the waves. And the soldiers' counsel was to kill the prisoners, lest any of them should swim out and escape. But the centurion, willing to save Paul, kept them from their purpose, and commanded that they which could swim should cast themselves first into the sea to get to land.
Right? So now they was looking like it's 200, it's almost 280 of them out there. Some of them was looking like, look, let's just kill the prisoners because we can't risk them escaping. We'd rather kill them than have them escape. But one of the centurions, he looking like, nah, my man Paul, we can't do that to him. So he convinced them not to do it. Right? So he let the prisoners just swim out. Watch this, keep going.
But the centurion, willing to save Paul, kept them from their purpose, and commanded that they which could swim should cast themselves first into the sea to get to land, and the rest, some on boards and some on broken pieces of the ship. And it came to pass that they escaped all safe to land.
Right? So everybody made it safe to land just like Paul said they would. Right? That's the end of chapter 27.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up. This is chapter 28. This is the last chapter of Acts. That's the last chapter, right?
Yeah.
All right, it's the last chapter of Acts. Let's see what this one says.
And when they were escaped, then they knew that the island was called Melita. And the barbarous people showed us no little kindness, for they kindled fire and received us every one because of the present rain and because of the cold. And when Paul had gathered a bundle of sticks and laid them on the fire, there came a viper out of the heat and fastened on his hand. And when the barbarians saw that the venomous beast hang on his hand, they said among themselves, no doubt this man is a murderer, whom though he had escaped the sea, yet vengeance suffered him not to live.
Right? So they looking at it like, so you got it's natives in that on the island. And when the natives saw them come on the island, they from the island. So they looking at they probably speak a different language and everything. They looking at them and they tried to help them. So they made a fire for him. So Paul is sitting by the fire and then he reached his hand to put another stick on the fire. And when he did that, a snake came out and bit him. So the natives that's from this island, they know what type of snake that is. They looking like, no, that's a poisonous snake. That boy good is dead. Because the snake just hanging from Paul's hand, right? It just hanging. It bit him and it's just hanging from his hand. And so they looking like, oh no, he good as dead. So they assume, they look at him as like he must be a murderer because why would the gods, right? Because they probably believe in multiple gods and all the time. Why would the gods let him survive the sea and that wind that would nobody was supposed to survive that? Y'all survive that, and then he come out here and get bit by a viper right away. Oh, he about to die for sure. He must have been a sinner. That's how they kind of look at him. But watch what happened.
And he shook off the beast into the fire and felt no harm.
Right? So he just had it. You know what I'm saying? And then when it bit him, he looking like, whoa, hold on. And he shook it off and then threw it into the fire. So the snakes ended up burning up in the fire. Right? Watch this.
Howbeit they looked when he should have swollen or fallen down dead suddenly. But after they had looked a great while and saw no harm come to him.
No what?
No harm come to him.
What do you think that means? Mean he's tough? Go back to this is Genesis chapter 3. This is Genesis chapter 3. Give me verse 12. This is Genesis chapter 3, verse 12. Watch what the book say.
And the man said, the woman who you gave us me to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And Yahuwah God said unto the woman, what is this that you have done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat.
The serpent did what?
Beguiled me, and I did eat.
She said, the serpent tricked me, and I did eat. Watch what happened next.
Yahuwah God said unto the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle.
Look what he said to the snake. He said, you done this, you're going to be cursed above all cattle. And what else happened?
And above every beast of the field.
Mm-hmm.
Upon your belly shall you go, and dust shall you eat all the days of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
Mm-hmm.
Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your
So
sorrow.
he just said that the snake and the seed of the woman are going to be at enmity. In other words, they're going to be at war. Right? So when Paul reached his hand and it bit him, bow, just like this, it is hanging on there. Guess what Paul did? He shook it off and threw him. You know who that serpent was that we just read about in Genesis? That was the devil. You know what the devil's job is? To kill and to what else? To steal and what else? And to destroy. Right? Kill, steal, destroy. That's his job. His job is to tempt us. His job is to kill us, to bring death. Right? But through Yahushua, guess what happens? We're resurrected, which means that death does us no harm. So when Paul is bit by this viper, this snake, and then he shake it off, he throws it into the fire, and there was no harm that came to him. That testifies of what Yahushua does for us. That testifies of the resurrection. Right? That the penalty that comes through the snakes tempting us, through the snake's bite, it really doesn't poison us. Right? Instead, Yahushua shakes them off and put them in the fire, which is going to happen in the end. Right? When we get to Revelations, we'll talk about that. Oh, that's a bad boy over there. You're right. The brother said, look, the young man said, he said, it wasn't Paul that shook off the snake. It was Yahushua. Let's go back and let's see what Yahushua did just now. This is Acts chapter 28. What verse? That's a bad boy there.
6.
This is Acts chapter 28, verse 6. Let's see what Yahushua did.
Howbeit, they looked when he should have swollen or fallen down suddenly, but after they had looked a great while and saw no harm come to him, they changed their minds and said that he was a god.
Well, no. Look, they said that he was what?
He was a god.
But there's only one God, huh?
Yeah.
They looked at him and said, oh, that's Yahushua. That's a bad boy sitting over there. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else, when they read it, they read this and they see Paul. They think Paul's the one shaking off a snake. The natives wasn't crazy. When they saw it, they looked like, oh, that's Yahushua. They thought he was a god. Right? Keep going.
In the same quarters were possessions of the chief men on the island, whose name was Publius, who received us and lodged us 3 days' courtesy. And it came to pass that the father of Publius lay sick of a fever and bloody flux, to whom Paul entered in and prayed and laid his hands on him and healed him. So when this was done, others also which had diseases in the island came and were healed, who also honored us with many honors. And when we departed, they laded us with such things as was necessary. And after 3 months, we departed in a ship of Alexandria, which had wintered in the island, whose sign was Castor of Pollux. And landing in Syracuse, we tarried there 3 days, and from there we fetched the compass and came to Rhegium. And after 1 day, the south wind blew, and we came the next day to Puteoli, where we found brethren and were desired to tarry with them 7 days. And so we went toward Rome. And from there, when the brethren heard of us, they came to meet us as far as Appi Forum, and in the three taverns. Whom when Paul saw, he thanked God and took courage. And when we came to Rome, the centurion delivered the prisoners to the captain of the guard. But Paul was suffered to dwell by himself with the soldier that kept him. And it came to pass that after 3 days, Paul called the chief of the Jews together. And when they were come together, he said unto them, Men and brethren, though I have committed nothing against the people or customs of our fathers, yet was I delivered prisoner from Jerusalem to the hands of the Romans, who when they had examined me would have let me go. But because there was no cause of death in me, but because there was no cause of death in me. But when the Jews spake against it, I was constrained to appeal to Caesar. Not that I ought to accuse my nation of. For this cause, therefore, have I called for you to see you and speak with you, because that for the hope of Israel I am bound with this chain. And they said unto him, We neither received letters out of Judah concerning you, neither any of the brethren that came showed or spake any harm of you. But we desire to hear of thee what you thinkest, what you thinkest. For as concerning this sect, we know that everywhere it is spoken against.
Right. So what he did is he went to Rome, and when he was in Rome, he was allowed to dwell with the soldier that's been looking out for him. Right. And so when he did that, he is looking like, all right, how many Hebrews we got in this town? Y'all come on, you know what I'm saying? Y'all come on, come talk to me. So he started to talk to him, right? And he started to say, okay, listen, I'm here. And I want y'all to know I'm here not because I did anything wrong. They lied on me and I came here. And really, they examined me and saw I didn't do anything worthy of death, but I felt constrained to appeal to Caesar. For what reason? So that I can see y'all and I can tell y'all what's going on. So then the Hebrews responded to him and they was looking like, wait. Let me tell you something, brother. We haven't heard nothing. Like nobody sent us a letter from Jerusalem. None of the brothers came down talking about you. Like we haven't heard nothing negative about you. So we want to hear more about what you're talking about because we've heard about what you believe and we heard about what you preaching. And I tell you, everywhere we go, what the book say? Read it again. He said, everywhere we go, watch this.
But we desire to hear of thee what thou thinkest. For as concerning this sect, we know that everywhere it is spoken against.
Right? He said, everywhere we go, it's spoken against. Right? Every time what you believe is brought up, everybody talking bad about it. Right? So that's how you know that in Rome, they didn't mess with it. That's why they called us Christians. Right? They used to call us Christians, although we were disciples. They used to call us Christian because they didn't like us. It was disrespectful to call us Christians. Right? And then later, some of the disciples adopted it. And then subsequently, those disciples stop being disciples and they just start being Christians and believe in myths and all types of other stuff. Right? Keep going.
And when they had appointed him a day, there came many to him into his lodging, to whom he expounded and testified the kingdom of God, persuading them concerning Yahushua, both out of the law of Moses and out of the prophets, from morning till evening. And some believed the things which were spoken, and some believed not. And when they had agreed not among themselves, they departed, after that Paul had spoken one word. Well spake the Holy Spirit by Isaiah the prophet unto your fathers, saying, Go to this people and say, Hearing ye shall hear, and not understand, and seeing ye shall see and not perceive. For the heart of this people is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes have they closed, lest they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. Be it known therefore unto you that the salvation of God is sent unto the Gentiles, and that they will hear it. And when he had said these words, the Jews departed, and had great reasoning among themselves. And Paul dwelt 2 whole years in his own hired house, and received all that came unto him, preaching the kingdom of God, and teaching those things which concern the Master, Yahushua the Messiah, with all confidence, no man forbidding him.
All right. So that's the end of Acts. That's also just about the end of Paul. A little bit after this, he probably died. Right? He probably was put to death or something. Right? But that's the end of Acts. That's the last thing that we hear from Paul in a narrative sense. So everything else that we hear from Paul will be letters, right? It's going to be letters that he wrote while he was in Rome. So he's in Rome at this point, and he's just writing letters to all the places that he visited, right? and he's writing letters back to them to speak to them, to make sure that they still on track, to answer their questions, right? So a lot of the stuff that we're gonna be reading over the next few weeks will be letters. All right. Any questions? Any questions in the chat? Let's see. All right. Well, let's pray out.